Hey, cowboy. Welcome to a Thursday Collection Connection, which, as far as I can tell, is just an excuse to talk about records. Today we're going to be forging a connection between Royal Blood's Typhoon's album and Tame Impala's The Slow Rush from 2020. But first, of course, we have to talk about the connection between the last pair of albums, and that is Holy Ghost by Holy Ghost and Royal Blood's Typhoon. And the connection is that they both contain a song called Hold On, and beyond that, Hold On appears to be, if not the most common song title, one of the most common song titles out there in existence. Surely you know a Hold On that you hold near and dear to your heart. These albums each have one, and that is the connection. And the connection was guessed, once again, by Murdoch from Murdoch's Music Minute. It seems like we are playing against him expressly, but we're not. I'm sure he would love it if someone else would guess, and he could stop feeling badly for us. But with that, let's get on with the show. Alright, so a little bit about the game. Every week I show an album, and my brother Eric over on the Plastic Soundwave Cult channel, he shows an album on Mondays, and we've turned it into a game by having a connection of some sort between the two albums that we talk about, and we just go in an endless cycle. Eric did talk about Royal Blood's Typhoon's album. I am not familiar with the band Royal Blood, never heard of them before listening to them here in the last couple of days. They seem to have kind of a lot in common with a certain brand of guitar band that sort of has one eye on the dance floor. Sort of bands like the White Stripes, Black Keys, Panic at the Disco, maybe the Killers, but they are just a duo, and I don't know that I would have picked up on that from listening to it. I like having the dance beats going on, and there was one song, something about limbo, I think, or being in limbo. Probably not about doing the limbo, but that particularly caught my ear. I gave it about 1.5 spins. It was interesting, for sure, and something probably worth further investigation, just to see if it really sort of clicks with me, if I was to get more familiar with it. But yeah, interesting choice, Royal Blood, Typhoons, and I guess they have a few albums out. Maybe this is one of their dancier type albums from what I read, but I didn't listen to anything else that they had put out. But yeah, it had a nice full sound for something that is basically a drummer and a bassist, and kind of rocky dance music. So yeah, cool choice, and on to the connection. Alright, so I'm talking about Tame Impala, The Slow Rush from 2020. They're very much indie darlings, Tame Impala. If you look at it on paper, they seem like they would be not only up my alley, but living downstairs from me in the same building. And yet, I'm not hugely in love with Tame Impala. Weirdly, I have all of their albums. The first one I picked up was Inner Speaker, and the second one I picked up was Currents. I actually skipped over Lonerism, which is, I think, a lot of people's favorite sort of super bedroom pop sort of. I don't know, it feels in some ways like Tame Impala's Pinkerton, just from what I've read. And then I picked up this, and I think the most recent one that I picked up, I do have Lonerism now, but both Lonerism and this one haven't super resonated with me because I'm not overly in love with the other two, Inner Speaker and Currents. Currents actually might be a nice analog to the Royal Bloods too. A little more indie bedroom pop. The band is just basically one guy, Kevin Parker, as far as being on the records. It's his project 100%. I don't know if it is entirely one of those bands that has a band name, but it's just one guy. But I believe when it comes to recording, he does all the stuff. And it appears that I've acquired all the albums just because of the love that goes around for this band in circles that include people whose taste in music overlap almost entirely with mine. But I've never been wowed by him, and yet I bought all the albums in hopes that I was missing something. Listening to The Slow Rush, there's some good stuff on there. There's Lost in Yesterday I enjoyed, and I think Borderline. I think that the biggest problem with this album is that I'm not crazy about the first track, One More Year. It's a little kind of gloopy and feels like it goes nowhere, and could use a little more backbone, I think. And it's tough to decide to queue up an album if you're not really enthusiastic about that first track. I could certainly skip it, but I feel like I don't know it well enough. It was just getting refamiliarized with it the last couple of days. I hadn't really played it at all since 2020, according to my iTunes stats, which is where I consume most of my music through my digital library. I listened to it a couple times here in the last couple of days, and I could see, putting in the effort, like with the Royal Blood, putting in the effort and maybe finding something that did appeal to me. Lost in Yesterday, it seemed like maybe I should give that a few more spins, but it doesn't instantly floor me. So even though I have 4, I think that's all of their albums at this point, Tame Impala records, not a huge Tame Impala fan. They just seem like I should be a huge Tame Impala fan. So, hey, if you love them and you want to let me know why you love them and what I should be listening for to see if something might crack through, like maybe it's lyrics. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't really listened closely to the lyrics. Maybe the lyrics would move me enough to be someone like Ben Folds or Joe Jackson or somebody, Lloyd Cole, for whom the lyrics are really the thing, pulls it over into something great. But yeah, let me know what it is, and in the meantime, see if you can find the connection between The Slow Rush from Tame Impala and Typhoons from Royal Blood. This is a trickier one. It is specific to this album, so it's not something that is true about the bands in general. It is specific to this album, and specific to one song each. I feel like I should give a couple of clues so somebody will go through the trouble of looking for it. But one song each from the album. They're not called the same thing like the previous connection, but one song each from both of the 2 albums have something in common, and see if you can figure out what it was. And if you can, leave it in the comments, and we will acknowledge you, shout you out in the next video, which will be on Eric's channel, The Plastic Soundwave Cult, next Monday. So with that, I will throw this over to Eric to listen to, assess, see what he thinks. I know he knows a little Tame Impala, and I think likes what he knows, but it's probably just 1 or 2 tracks. And yeah, we'll see what he thinks of this album, and we can look forward to that on Monday. So with that, I said my piece. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.